makes the lead sound so much more energetic. It is crazy. I mean, isn't that crazy? Welcome everybody, my name is Casada Cruz, electronic music producer and DJ, and today we are breaking down my song Tension. In this video I want to show you the elements of my track, the idea behind the sound and some production techniques to build this futuristic tech house or minimal techno sound that hopefully gives you some inspiration or useful advice for your own productions. Or just to give you a look behind the scenes. I'm producing in FL Studio, but many of the things I'm gonna show you today are also applicable in other DAWs. If you like this video, give thumbs up and subscribe to this channel because everything helps so much. And yeah, let's get started. As always, no song without kick and bass. So let's dive right in, and the bass line is made with some 16th notes, where every other note is playing one octave higher than the previous one, and this gives us some high energy galloping like sound, and this pattern can be used in a lot of different productions, from tech house to melodic techno, progressive house, minimal techno, basically so many. It is very versatile. So to cover the whole spectrum of the frequencies, we have two different bass lines. The first one, the upper bass line, is playing in the middle and higher frequencies. I cut most of the low frequencies, and then we also have the classic sub bass to cover the low frequencies, and I also boosted the low frequencies right here. So the sub bass line is also playing these 16th notes, but only in the lower octave. In this case it's E3. By the way, I mostly decide on which key a song will be in depending on the kick. So if I find a kick that I really like, I'm aligning all the other elements to this kick, or let's better say I'm building all the elements in the same key upon the kick. A lot of producers underestimate that a kick has a key as well, and that you should align your other elements to the key of this kick, or vice versa, align your kick to the other elements and the key of the other elements in your track. So always make sure that you determine the key of your kick, and in FL Studio this one is really simple because you can just go to your kick like this right here. Then you open this drop down menu right here, go to edit sample, and then Edison opens. It's the built-in editor of FL Studio. You go to this little flag icon right here and select detect pitch regions, and then you see the key of your kick. In this case it is E. So speaking about the kick, this is what it sounds like. And in terms of processing, I use snapback to layer the kick. I added a little snap before the transient of the kick to make things a little bit more interesting, and I also used a transient to layer the transient in this case. And then we also have Bittersweet. It's a free transient shaper to tighten the sound a little bit more. It is a very cool plugin. You only have one knob, but it's so powerful, so when you listen closely, so you can basically tighten things up a little bit or bring the kick more to the front. So Bittersweet, clear recommendation. You have nothing to lose, it's for free. And then let's listen to kick and bass together. So the arpeggio is the key melodic element in this song, so let's have a closer look. So this one is a classic arp, you could say. We are starting with the root note. Then I go down to the 5th, go down to the root note 1 octave lower, and then go up to the 3rd. So this one is made in Serum, and unprocessed it sounds like this. The magic happens with the sound processing, obviously, and I use blood overdrive for some saturation, so to excite the harmonics a little bit. And then we have thermal for distortion. Thermal, definitely my favorite distortion plugin, and especially the distortion right here makes the sound even more exciting and much thicker. Also a little more numb in this case, but I think it suits the track very well because it makes the ARP even more spacey. And when we listen again without distortion, then there's some EQ to cut the low frequencies, then a little bit of delay, and also some reverb. And when it comes to the reverb, for most of the elements that you're using reverb on, make sure that you're using the high and the low cut to save some headroom in the mix. So the high cut mostly is around 9K and the low cut at around 500. Saves you a lot of headroom because otherwise reverb is really big and can mess up your mix pretty bad if you're not careful. And then there's also OTT, so some multiband compression to bring the harmonics and the higher and middle frequencies a little bit up. And now processed again the ARP, it sounds like this. To support the ARP, I also added the pluck, and the pluck plays some basic 8th note pattern in the key of the song E. It's just to support the ARP, so it's a minor melodic element, but still it adds a lot of tension to the whole soundscape. When we look at the processing, we have saturation again, then EQ again, cut the low frequencies on this one as well, and then there's also a limiter, so I put up a sidechain to give the ARP enough space and that the pluck and the ARP don't clash with each other. So let's listen to both together. And that is the melodic groundwork of the song. Let's get to the drop of the track. So first of all, I used a massive lead sound for some high energy in the drop. So we see some 16th notes that are playing in the first and every second bar in the drop section. It is a very cool element to use some notes and a melodic element in every second bar and then let the delay and reverb take over. And it's also to leave some space for some very dark and very cool vocals, where we're gonna get to in a second. Let's listen to the lead sound. Also with a layer, I layered the lead. So there are two different synths playing. Nice one. So with the processing, you can basically see the usual stuff. Blood overdrive for saturation, and then Camel Crusher this time for distortion. It's a free distortion plugin. I can really recommend this one as well. I mean, it's free again, so go grab it if you don't have it. Especially the British clean preset with a little bit of reduced volume on the master right here makes the lead sound so much more energetic. It is crazy. So let's listen to the lead sound right here. And now let's only hear it with saturation. And now let's activate Camel Crusher, so the distortion. I mean, isn't that crazy? So then we have again EQ to cut the low frequencies and stereo enhancer for some stereo separation. Then there's delay again and also some very wide reverb, but also with the high and the low cut. Multiband compression, bring the harmonics up in the higher and middle frequencies. And then there's also a very tiny but very cool effect, I think, with Pancake, a free panning monitor. Free plugin again, it's a free plugin showcase today. Isn't that awesome? awesome. You can send the audio signal from the left to the right speaker and draw in your own panning curves like I did right here. So we basically send the signal, the audio signal from the lead to the left to the right speaker, and it just adds a very cool effect, especially when you're listening to it on headphones or on big speakers. So let's have a look at the vocals right here. These are some very dark and very cool, already pitched rap vocals. Unprocessed, it sounds like this.
Tension, don't at me, boo, don't even mention. Nah, that boy, that fake water retention.
To flip them a little bit, I stretched them to make them sound a little different, a little more unique, but at the same time keeping the key that it still remains in E minor, even though we stretched the vocals. And then I used some of Magma's BB-Tube Stereo. It is definitely my favorite saturation plugin when it comes to vocals or native instruments.
Tension, don't at me, boo, don't even mention. Nah, that boy, that fake water retention.
And then I use some distortion. Normally I wouldn't use distortion on vocals or on most of the vocals I use in my productions. But in this case I thought it would be really cool, since the vocals are already pitched and have this very dark vibe. I thought, okay, some distortion it is.
Tension, don't at me, boo, don't even mention. Nah, that boy, that fake water retention.
It's very nice this way. Then we get even more crazy. I added Transgate for a stutter effect. It's a free plugin again, so yeah, we're definitely at a free plugin showcase today.
Tension, don't at me, boo, don't even mention. Nah, that boy, that fake water retention.
Then delay, reverb, and again kickstart, and then we have this. So then I copied the vocals 2 times and made them unique, and then panned one of them 40% to the left and the other one 40% to the right, and reduced both in the volume just to make the vocals as broad and massive as possible. Then in terms of the drop, we also have the plug from earlier continuing to play, and the Arp has a break in the drop section. And that's it for the drop. So let's get to the break section after the first drop. So you can see the Arp comes back in again and slowly filters in, and also the plug filters slowly in. And then there are 2 major elements for the break section. First of all, a respace. So I use this respace to calm the section down a little bit while still having a bass line. It is made at serum, and I only used some saturation and also an EQ to cut the middle and higher frequencies and boost the low frequencies a little bit. So, but the main element of the break section are the chords. And we have a basic chord progression right here. And I use Flex for it. It's an FL stock plugin, and there we have this amazing free pack, the Saif Samir Synthwave pack, and there I use the preset to create this amazing synth for the break section. In terms of processing, we only have some saturation again, and then an equalizer to cut the low frequencies, and it doesn't need more because the synth is already very powerful and it already has a lot of processing going on here directly in Flex. And then there are also some vocals coming back in again, and in this section right here I didn't use the stutter effect just to build even more tension with the vocals. So let's listen to the drop section. The elements slowly fading to build some tension. You can hear the chord progression coming. and so on. Yeah, so we're building a lot of tension throughout the whole break section. Funny thing that the whole song is called Tension, right? Well, actually it's not, but yeah.
Whatever.
Let's continue.
So additional elements, except for some air candies that you can see right here. So 2 different impact risers, a build up, and so on and so on. A crash that we have in here. We also have a stab that is playing more or less every 8 bars. And if you want to know how to make a simple but very powerful drone stab like this from scratch in Serum, you should check out my last song breakdown because I explained it there in detail. Somewhere here. And certainly let's not forget the additional drum elements, because we of course have more than kick and bass in this track, and you already heard some of it. So I used a rolling head, an open head, and also percussion. I used 2 different closed heads to layer the sound a little bit. Sounds like this. I use only EQ to cut most of the frequencies, and also a limiter for a sidechain to give the kick enough space. And what is very important for all of the drums in this song, I tightened them a lot with the LFO settings. So I dropped the closed heads directly into the channel rack so I can apply some LFO settings right here, reduced the attack and decay so that it has a very tight sound. It's the same with the open head, as you can see right here. And there we have also EQ, but not with that much frequency cut. Stereo shaper with a 10 milliseconds delay to the left, so we delay the left signal a little bit, gives a nice housey effect. And last but not least, we have percussion. And there's only EQ on it. So all of these drum elements are very tight to fit the whole soundscape very well. And to make the heads shine through even more, I created a separate head bus and sent the rolling head and the open head to the separate head bus. And there I applied some wave shaper with some soft saturation, and then an EQ to cut the low frequencies, just to be safe. So every time when you saturate something, you just want to make sure that no signal is going through on the low end. And that's it. And that's everything for the song breakdown. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe even learned a thing or two. This song called Tension is now available on Soundcloud and also on Beatport, so make sure to check the links down below. And if you like this video, give thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and let me know what you think in the comments, because every interaction helps. Let's push this algorithm, alright? Until then, have an amazing day, happy producing if you're a producer, and yeah, see you soon. I'm out.